Hello, everyone, and welcome to our new episode. Today, we're going to talk about UX, user experience, and I have a wonderful guest with me here, Leanne Tremblay. Hi, Leanne.
Hi, Olga.
Leanne
Thanks
is
for
in
having me.
Vancouver. I'm in Kelowna. We're in British Columbia, Canada. I can see you have lots of sunshine too.
Yeah, I'm as well in British Columbia, Lower Mainland, so near Vancouver. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's sunny
yeah.
today.
It
Hooray!
is sunny today. Yeah, I opened the winery season already. We were like sipping on the patio,
Oh, yeah.
Copenhagen wine. But I wish we could talk about wine today, but we're going to talk about
Yeah.
UX and we're going to talk about AI and ChatGPT. And when ChatGPT came out, I think everyone across all industries had a little anxiety attack. Is my job safe? And this winter was not good for tech industry either, right? We saw lots of layoffs and lots of people finding themselves and finding their new paths. And seeing technology replacing jobs was not helping either. So it's kind of a very interesting topic, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely, and since GPT-4 has just been recently released, it's been just a flood of all those same conversations about what's going to happen to anybody who related to any kind of content discipline, especially, will I have a job? Like, what am I supposed to do? Are companies going to take shortcuts and use AI instead of real people to do this work? So it's been interesting diving into all that and then
Yeah.
deciding how I feel about it. So yeah, it's been
Yeah.
cool.
So Leanne, tell me a little bit about, first of all, you're a UX writer, right? So tell me a little bit, what do you do? What UX writing really is? Why do we need user experience writing instead of letting developers write all the documentation and
Right.
all the guides?
Right. Yeah. So I'm a content designer or UX writer. Those terms are kind of interchangeable, but content design maybe gives it gives you the idea that it's more all-encompassing of a content process. But really, content design is a new way of thinking about content that's quite a bit different than when I started in product content. Like 20 some years ago, I started out in actually documentation for products, complex systems, hardware and software. And these days, those kinds of things, it's more like cloud-based systems and SaaS. But in terms of the job itself, like as I said, content design is really a new way of thinking about it. And it takes a real page from what you do in UX research in that content design, first and foremost, takes evidence-based or database decisions and it applies to content and whether the content is accessible or usable in digital apps and services. So that really means putting users first, digging into what they say and what they do, how they interact with your product and your content, which could be in the user interface itself. In the actual app, or it could be in the help docs, which is kind of a specialty of mine. So from there, content designers make some assumptions or make some hypotheses and create content prototypes which they then can go out and test with real users. And then based on that feedback, they iterate on those prototypes. So it's a real process that's based on user research, which is quite a bit different than when I first started in my career in content, which was just developers, engineers, so forth would create features. They pass the feature document to me. I write up the feature. We publish a document, and that was it. This is
and
what's
unfortunately,
really
lots of SaaS startups still do it like that, or sometimes they even just develop the feature, write up the explanation how this feature works, and throw it on the doc side.
That's true. That's true. I call that old school. But to be fair, a lot of companies, they're just doing that because that's the only way they know how to work. And it seems like it's the fastest, most efficient way to get a product out there. But you and I both know that there's a cost to that. And that is like releasing products that are not usable or, not friendly towards your customer. So,
Yeah, and it's also, at this point, it's the matter of competitive advantage. There's so many SaaS companies launching new software every day. There's so many software for invoicing, so many different software packages for managing tasks, right? And who wins? The one with the best user experience.
Yeah.
The war of features is over, right? Like it's so easy right now to
Yes.
develop any app, like using Jamstack, hook up through a few APIs, you hook up a few other integrations,
Yeah.
and you have a beautiful product. But who wins? The one who really understands how users think and what's their pain points and what they need, and talk to them on the language that resonates. Right?
Exactly. So that's actually a good segue to, because that's really your wheelhouse is
Yeah.
finding out all those insights. So can you
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about what you do in your practice for
Yeah,
your
sure. So I call myself kind of like user experience insights generator. It's not about red light, green light. It's not about let's measure how many people like this feature versus how many people didn't like this feature. It's really about generating insights. And insights is something that when you share with the team of developers and product creators, insights inspire and ignite creative thinking, but they also inspire and ignite connection. This is like, oh, I finally understand my user. I finally get where they're coming from. I finally get what their pain is. And these insights can actually help them develop the roadmap, not only evaluate what they already did, but also develop the roadmap for the next features, because now they feel in tune. It's not how you finally feel in tune with your pets or with your husband or with your kids. It's finally like, I finally get it where they're coming from. And that's why you need UX research, and that's why you need UX insights to ignite this connection.
Yeah. But also, isn't it like the developers and the teams are creating the product, but the users themselves, I would think, like the insights that you're uncovering are like those key moments in, whatever that user's thinking, that's going to like push them forward to either make a decision to buy your app or to use a feature or to really like get on board with what you're doing. It's like very emotional, like it's emotional uncovering of like these psychological motivators.
Yeah, you got it. Exactly. I think at the end of the day, every SaaS founder who comes to me comes with fear that their SaaS not going to make it. Even if you got seed round and if you have a cash flow for the 2-3 years, you always have this fear: are we going to make it past these 2-3 years? And the only answer to this question is, can you convert your visitors into buyers? Because it's very easy to buy visitors. You launch Google Ads, you throw your investors' money into good marketing copy, into good landing page, into good advertising, visitors show up. But then the moment of truth is happening when most of the SaaS will have a freemium experience or free trial or some kind of product trial. And do we understand what these people are looking for? Do we understand what their pain points are? Do we understand why these people showed up? And how we can talk to them through your content in a way that they feel heard, and in a way that they feel seen, and in a way that they also have this aha moment saying like, oh, that software can finally make my life easier. I want to buy it. I'm ready to pay $50 or $500 and $5,000 a month to make my life, my team life easier, because it does this and that and that. It's clear. I understand what it does. I'm not confused. I'm not lost. I'm not frustrated. I'm ready to pay. Right? Like we need to take them to that moment. And I think that's the ultimate goal, is conversion. Like the ultimate goal.
Do you work with both like enterprise and consumer product? Because I would imagine that's a slightly different cake on who's going to buy it versus who's using it.
I personally prefer to work with B2B enterprise project, because they're the most challenging and the most interesting. I love working with AI and machine learning projects because they're very challenging, and I think that's the future of SaaS. There's lots of beautiful AI products there. But of course, we need to uncover insights from both consumer decision makers and enterprise decision makers, business decision makers, both for sure. Talking about AI, Leah, so what do you think? Are you worried for your career in UX writing with the ChatGPT coming in and writing a storm on any possible topic?
I know, like everybody in content has something to say about it. Lots of people are talking to colleagues about it. And I would say that overall, I am not fearful. Like I don't feel like jobs my job is going to go away, but I do get it how some people are going to be concerned because like anything in like technology or the internet, there was always when something new would be introduced, there was kind of this gold rush mentality and you had lots of people jumping in and making a quick buck. So I feel like there's a lot of that going on and we might get, especially the generative AI space where just enter a few prompts and everything gets written for you. We might end up with a lot of very surface level content that's not very good.
Yeah, yeah,
But I feel like my opinion is that content designers, UX writers, anybody who writes in our space, if you can become experts at using these tools and really understand what they can and can't do, and it
yeah,
becomes really just another tool in your toolbox.
yeah,
I mean, the simple comparison is like with a grammar checker or a spell checker.
yeah,
This is like that on steroids, but it becomes another tool, and the people who know how to use the tools the best are going to rise to the top.
yeah.
Um, and those are the
True.
folks
Yes.
who like, and if you layer on top of that, so you have tool expertise and competency, but then on top of that, if you layer like all that analysis, content,
Yeah.
strategic thinking,
Hmm.
analysis, synthesis, like all
Hmm.
those things that go into our processes, like our user research processes, our content design processes. Like I think I was telling you another time that like the writing part of my job, honestly, sometimes it's just the smallest part at the end. Like
Yeah,
all the,
yeah,
it's like front loaded with all this it's the research, the synthesis, analysis, and then the writing is like the output of
the
that. But there's all
final,
the stuff
yeah,
at the front, and
like the
any
top of the
any AI
iceberg.
tools don't
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that. Like,
yeah,
um, yeah, I was been watching a lot of different webinars, and there was one I watched a couple of days ago actually, and we can put the link. It was a Bright Talk by Scott Abel at the Content Wrangler, and we can link to it below. But
yeah.
it was a great. One of the comments was they were just talking about these huge public models that ChatGPT is based on, and he
Hmm.
said, really, like it's just the world's best autocomplete feature because really ChatGPT only knows the world up to like 2019. It doesn't know anything new. Like it can't tell you anything new. It can only tell you something old. So if you're working on a
Interesting.
product like post
Yeah,
COVID,
yeah.
right, that have all these insights and all these things that have happened in our world since then, like ChatGPT is not going to know any of that. Like it doesn't know about your customers or your product,
No.
right? It,
Yeah,
it only knows what's happened before. And
yeah,
so you kind
exactly.
of have to put it in its place. And
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, it's super fun.
yeah,
We can
yeah,
try some of it
yeah,
in a bit, but it's super
yeah,
fun to play with these tools. But I
yeah,
think expertise is going to come with
yeah,
strategic thinking layered on top of
yeah,
like
yeah.
competency.
I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it that ChatGPT does not know anything about your consumers
Yeah.
and your product. It's a
Yes.
very general and very artificial intelligence. Right? It's not very intuitive. It's not very that it doesn't that doesn't get you this kind of like fine tune understanding, like you almost like gut feeling understanding of what
Nuance. It
you
doesn't have
want.
nuance. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, how about we ask AI? What AI is? How? What ChatGPT
Yeah.
is
Okay.
thinking about
Yeah,
about
we
our jobs? Like, let's see.
talked about let's do it. Let's just do a little test and
I was
ask it what he
wondering if
thinks.
if we asked it like how AI will impact UX writing careers
Okay.
and jobs.
Okay. So do you see Chat GPT there? Are we good?
Yeah, yeah, it looks
Okay.
good.
So we had a question prep. So what are the negative effects of AI and UX jobs? Should we go for it?
Go for it.
Okay. Well,
Positive and negative ways. AI can help UX designers by automating some tasks such as data analysis and testing, freeing up time for more creative work. Also, potential negative effects of AI on UX job. Okay, let's look at this. So, reduce demand for certain skills. can take over some tasks traditionally done by UX professionals, such as user research and testing. Well, no, it's not gonna reduce demand for the skills, but it's gonna push the skills to the next level. The UX researchers who are more focused on insights, understanding the path to purchase, understanding the decision making, understanding the pain points, needs, and emotional needs, that researchers will continue kind of growing their
Right.
careers.
I
And
agree.
they will continue using AI for sure, because it will help them to spend less time on some repetitive tasks, so that they could spend more time on really, as you said, on really understanding user, on really understanding business, and really going to the top of the top.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think like if you were able to create like instead of a public model, like what ChatGPT is based on, if you were able to have a private, like your own model for your own customers, then I could see that you would get more relevant data out of some of these AI tools, because it's the data is based on your data as a company, like all that content about users, it's all just focused on your customers. But just expecting ChatGPT to analyze user research, I don't think that's a wise thing to do, in my opinion. Yeah.
What do you think about the second point?
Limited creativity. AI can automate certain tasks and may not be able to replicate the creativity and intuition of human UX professionals.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. Like I think that from what my experience in tinkering with these things is, it's a great tool for ideation. Like, just like if I'm stuck on something, I could like call on you, Olga, and say, like, what do you think about this? Like, we could brainstorm and pop things off one another to come up with some unique solutions. Well, if you don't have that, you don't have that team available, I think that AI tools are going to like step into that role, like some of the things that maybe they're good at, so it could like be a sounding board, an idea generator, ideation. I think it would work well as a tool like that. That's a tool I would love to have in my toolbox. And incidentally, like all the products and platforms that we all use, like Google Docs and all the Microsoft products, they're all going to have these AI tools baked in, like in the very, not today, in the very near future. So it will become like as ubiquitous as spell check. Like, you just like pop over, you do a little thing, you get some ideas, and so.
And I also actually think that more, like, I think creativity will only prosper because, again, as a natural environment, we're all in the job market competition, right? Like, we all compete with each other to be the best of the best. And you naturally have to use creativity as much as you possibly can to become the top professional, right? So you will have to find a way to be even more innovative and to create engaging experiences for users as a UX writer, as a UX researcher, so that the SaaS products that you helping to could really stand out, right? Like, you're helping your client to stand out. So I think we actually will be pushed even more to be creative.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we talked about that analogy to like using Adobe Illustrator when it came out, and people were worried about content design or graphic design jobs disappearing. And what you had was like this whole class of very like amazing creative individuals who became very proficient in using this tool and create amazing things. Like I can go on Illustrator and I can do some things, but it's not going to be good. Like
absolutely,
some of these tools it's going to be like competency with these tools to really create creative output. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So lack of empathy, Olga, what do you think there?
AI might not be able to replicate the empathy and emotional intelligence of human UX professionals. Yes, absolutely agree with that. This could result in designs that do not resonate with users or fail to take into account their needs and preferences.
This is the question I actually had for you, is like, do you think company, like this ties into that, is like, do you think that startups, trying to save a buck or two are just going to take a shortcut and try to shortcut the process and use AI to
And I think
generate all that stuff.
And they will, and I think they will, and I think they will iterate and they A/B test and they will make mistakes, and then they will get to the point where they're in a more or less okay spot, but still they are not meeting their conversion goals. And this is when
right.
they still will come and they will be like, why my product is not converting? They will still ask this question, and they will have to work with the UX researcher to really answer this question for them, because only the UX researcher can actually specifically look at their target audience and how their target audience interact with their particular product and understand kind of what is connection. Like we have to teach
into being human. Like people got to lean into that.
We have to teach our founders that it's not just about writing a good investor pitch deck, and it's not just about getting money and throwing into Google Ads and bringing a whole bunch of people to your trial, because eventually you will still see that if your product doesn't convert, something is missing.
Yes.
You cannot grow without being empathetic and truly, fully being dedicated to the creating incredible, helpful, empowering experience for your users. You have to truly believe in your heart that you are here, your product is here, you waking up every morning and drink that shot of espresso to empower someone. Your software has to empower someone. And if you don't talk to these people, if you don't see them, like when I do research, I always do like little videos and quotes and snippets to show people this is your real user, this is how they think, this is what they feel, this is who they are. It's like I don't know, like it's you have to feel, you have to understand this person, you have to be empathetic. And unfortunately it's kind of a very masculine, I'm not saying male female, I'm saying a masculine, the software, the technology is a very masculine industry, and often empathy is a feminine quality. And then this is why I think artists, I call you artists, for me you're UX artist, when you write something in such a way that catches attention. This is artistic act of creative writing, right? Like yep. Artists like you, or researchers dash psychologists dash sociologists like me come to this world with this feminine power of empathy. Magic happens. Then these products grow and bloom and scale like crazy, because now we have magic. Now it's not just about features, code, and money. It's about understanding and being empathetic of the users, right?
Yeah.
That's
your customers are not the AI. Your customers are real people. Until AI start buying their own products, I think that
that's a good one. AI is not buying your product. Why are you letting AI to write and do your
exactly?
Yeah.
Exactly.
A good point. Okay, what else we got? What's the
last one? Bias and discrimination. AI is only as unbiased as the data it's trained on. Yeah. But that is totally true. And I'm not at all the best person to speak to that. But the general things that I know is like the big models, the big data sets that ChatGPT is based on. It was trained a certain way, and there are inherent biases in that, and you really have to be aware if you're going to be using it. And so that's why I think that companies might start looking to creating their own private models of their own customers, but even then they have to be very careful about that data set and how they train it. That's a huge thing there for sure.
But overall, I think ChatGPT did a good job summarizing this four areas.
It was good.
Was really fun. Yeah,
good.
Thanks, ChatGPT. That was very interesting. So Leanne, did you use ChatGPT for actual UX writing? Like, did it help you? Did it simplify your job?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say like I'm experimenting with it right now, as opposed to using it throughout my practice. But just as an example, it was the end of last week. I was doing some writing. I was very comfortable with what I was writing about, but my content was not it was it wasn't that well written. But I'm like, like it was just
Yeah.
I had lots of points that were not connected together, very
Mm-hmm.
finessed. They weren't finessed in any way. And
Yeah.
so okay, I'm going to just see, can ChatGPT help me out here?
Yeah.
So, and this is for like a customer. So I took my content and I put it in, and I might have asked it to summarize. Oh, I think I asked it to rewrite using simple verb form. So that would be like um, using change instead of changing and things like that. And so, and the output was quite good. And
Yeah.
I was like, hey, like this actually saved me. That saved
Yeah.
me some time.
Yeah.
I will say, like reading it over, and I did
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah.
But I will say that reading it over, you do lose nuance with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I'm the one who knows this persona the best. I know this user, I know the company's style guide the best. That's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like ChatGPT doesn't know your company's style guide, your, voice and tone.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were a few things that, it would be a mistake to just copy and paste the
Yeah.
output.
Yeah.
So you do have to, I think it's actually a skill, a marketable skill going forward is going to be content folks who know how to
How to use? Yeah.
know how to read and edit
Yeah.
AI generated prose. They're not
Yeah.
going to know what to look for. They're going to know like the warning
Yeah.
signs where it's summarized too much, where it's lost some nuance. And that's going to be a skill. Like you're just going to
Yeah.
have real human beings who's going to be able to know, like to be able to
Yeah.
spot AI
Yeah.
generated
Yeah.
text. Like
Yeah. But it's also like, for me, like writing is such an artistic act. It's almost like it's a poetry. It's like even like kind of like a white poetry, right? Like the words should flow, the words should work together, the words should like resonate so that I could respond again on an emotional level and get
yeah,
engaged with this text. Like my brain should turn on, or it's like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
reading something interesting and I'm reading something that talks to me. They get me, they understand me, and that's kind of exactly, like you take AI generated text and then you add this magic to it to really,
Yeah, which comes
really
from
make it
what you're
work.
saying, the UX research actually talking to users and hear in their own words,
Yeah,
they what they say about your product, or good
yeah,
or bad. And I think the other day you mentioned like you can even like when you're talking to someone and you see how their mind might just their little light bulb goes off in their head or a
yeah,
spark in their
yeah,
eyes. And as a researcher, you could ask, okay, tell me, what did you just think about just then? And give
yeah,
you nuggets where an
yeah.
AI is not going to be able
It's
to,
the list. Yeah, it's like,
they're not going to be able to get that stuff, the good stuff.
yeah, it's like the listening and seeing the user actually interact with your product, and when they stuck somewhere, you actually can see the smallest like facial expressions to really dig deep into like what are you thinking, what are you feeling, where are you going with that. It's a little bit like a psychotherapy session, right? Like you need to be
Yeah.
very in tune to hearing and seeing the person to really get the insight. And for my profession, for UX research, of course, like ChatGPT can save so much time. Like again, like generating the commentary, summarizing the transcripts. There's lots of things that I hate doing. So it's just like,
Yeah. Well, this is it. Like what is it good at? Get it to do the stuff it's good at and leave the stuff that I really am interested to me. So that
yeah,
actually was a question I wanted to ask you was like, how do you see AI tools like influencing your UX research practice? Like how do
yeah.
you
I
in the
think I
future,
think
what do you wish
the
for?
same way how like calculators influenced like bank tellers in the 80s. It just frees up time for more human connection, for more understanding, for more insights, for more creativity. Hopefully, you cannot fight these tools. You need to learn them. You need to embrace them. And the ones who do it the best without losing the side of like humanity and empathy to users gonna do great. I'm not to be honest, I'm not worried at all for my career or your career or any user experience career.
Yeah.
I actually think user experience will become more important because the creators and founders of software will understand that if they just use an AI algorithm, everyone will end up with the same software, like the same looking, the same written guides in the same emails, and they will be like, how do we bring here, how our brand can deliver the voice?
Yeah.
It cannot be AI voice. It has to be your voice. So
Yeah.
what is your voice? So you have to work with artistic UX, very like psychological UX researchers and very artistic UX writers to create this magic to really stand out in the market. And even now you can see like it's very easy. You can have like you can go to any website of every software which is really good and growing, and you can see that they got a personality. They got a
Yeah.
unique personality, right?
A point of view, personality, and somebody was careful, like the good apps and services were really careful with it. Like they applied very carefully, judiciously, and not generically, I guess.
Yeah.
And when they do make a mistake, like it stands out. Like and a lot of times it might be you're having a great experience, but then you get an error message comes up, and the error message was not like it fell through the cracks, and it was not written in the correct voice and tone, or it wasn't considered, and it really shows.
I recommend everyone to watch the movie Her. The way AI actually, they were showing the scenario where AI plays the role in personal relationship, and everything was perfect until that one little moment, and you realize that she's having exactly the same conversation with 6,375 more users like you. And that's when you realize that, oh, it's not personal and it hurts. So the same with UX writing content and kind of future of the SaaS is that when people will see and then realize that, oh, it's just generated by AI, it's not personal, not individually created product. It shows. But again, for like testing, iteration, go ahead, let's do it. But let's not forget that we need to be empathetic and artistic in our jobs, and enjoy and love our jobs, and then we will help to create SaaS products which are enjoyed and loved by their users.
I think it's going to be an exciting time learning how to use these tools, what they can and can't do, what they're good at and what they're not good at. And some creative people are going to come up with new ways of using those tools. So there's going to be yet more products that come out that do different things, and that's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
And exactly, it's exciting. Humans are unpredictable, very complicated, and they're not actually very intelligent. if everyone was like, like there's so many jokes about like, why are you clicking on this button?
We're emotional. We're emotionally driven.
The beauty of it, right? It's the beauty of it, that we're traumatized, we're tired, we're exhausted, we're frustrated users who need sometimes just to be heard and seen. And if your software can do that and help me feel seen and heard and with all my complexity, then I will pay. I will buy. So thank you so much, Leanne. I think I love this conversation. I think we should talk more about UX writing, UX research, and AI in the future. But just to wrap up, tell me a little bit. So Minted Leaf, that's kind of if we want to find you on LinkedIn, we kind of look for Leanne Tremblay.
Leanne Tremblay, either on Minted Leaf or just Leanne Tremblay on LinkedIn. That's where I am. And Minted Leaf Story Studio is, I guess, my business side, and it's a freelance consultancy for content design and UX writing. So, and I do have I won't say I'm a specialist necessarily, but I have worked a lot in help content. So help content and support content. So what excites me a lot now is being able to put that into the app itself, and the help center too. But content design in like the support space is kind of where I land quite frequently there for some reason. So
that's your
And how
faster.
about you? Where are you on?
Yeah, so again, Olga Voigt. You can find me on LinkedIn as Olga Voigt or behind the scenes insights.com. You can just Google behind the scenes UX insights and you will find me. I help SaaS companies to bring their conversion rates to where they need to be by understanding
Yeah.
the humans, the
Yeah.
humans that interact with their products. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, this has been so fun. Thanks, Olga.
Yeah, we should do it again. And yeah, enjoy the nice weather in British
I will.
Columbia.
I will. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.